PWC network, and I can speak to you and bring to you today some of the strategies that we develop with steel and mining companies to currently counteract the perfect storm, as we call it. We have a couple of industry strengths that you all know, for example, the iron ore volatility, coking coal volatility, but also the Chinese imports and overcapacity. So at the moment, what we see with our Western European clients, but also with clients across the globe, is certainly the perfect storm environment. And companies are very active in developing successful strategies with more effective operating models and organizations, but also driving very much operational efficiencies. So a little bit of introduction to Strategy End. Strategy End is part of PWC as a global professional services firm. We combined 1.5 years ago to combine strategy, global foresight in a number of industries across the globe. Our energy practice spans metals, oil and gas, utilities industries, but we certainly have combined with PwC to have a strong also arm in execution, implementation, execution, when it also comes to taxes and other IT services. So in that sense, we can assist our clients from strategy to execution, right from the initial industry turmoils that come up and need a new strategy to be developed, right into implementation and capability building. What do we see currently in the steel environment, but also how do companies react? Three priorities that steel and metal companies are currently facing. First is they want to manage volatility. Iron ore, coking coal, steel price volatility, so they need new ways to manage volatility, either in more dynamic pricing, in better margin management, in better inventory management. So that's certainly a key priority to deal with that. That's one of their core capability to always improve that side of the business. They are also, that's a third capability, always focused on more advanced steel grades. That was the reason for Metall to buy Arcelor in the beginning, and also have come to a globally integrated, for example, R&D operating model, where everything is very much focused around the more advanced, for example, automotive steel grades. So that kind of quality, customer focus, customer interaction is important. And with their distribution business that they also have, they also with supply chain improvements, customer proximity and service excellence. So that's what they are made of in terms of capabilities, and that's what they develop. And we think that's important to develop also your business, to understand what you are strong at and what are the capabilities you want to build in the future. If we look at certainly the Russian major steel makers and also their businesses, you know them all, they are known, of course, to this audience. What are their priorities also in light of the very challenging market environments? You have certainly a couple of priorities which they pursue. Certainly, when we look at them, operational efficiencies is top of the agenda. CapEx and operational efficiencies, CapEx and OpEx. Sustainable development on safety, on environmental policies. Certainly a more leading position in strategic markets, more advanced steel grades on the flat side, coils, hot rolled coils, cold rolled coils, but also the heavy plate segment. And in line with the cost structure, but also driving the efficiency out of capital projects, as they have a couple of renovation projects still in the pipeline, driving more efficiency out of the capital projects. and also in line with the leading position, certainly more higher value-added products when it comes to the automotive advanced steel grades, more finishing, also more strength when it comes to yield and all these technical competencies we see on their agenda. So that's sort of their priorities, and their key priorities also mirrored a little bit by the 3 ones I've initiated earlier. And that's would also be a recommendation for the future agenda to match the perfect storm. Certainly you want to always link and look at your capital projects and drive capital efficiency out of them. What's the capex budget? Can a capex project be optimized in terms of the equipment availability and uptime, and also the capex budget in a total? Second, labor efficiency, cost optimization. We certainly see as improvement, mainly in the administrative areas, but also in maintenance and production. The third is raw material access in kind of volatile markets. And the third is more advanced and more high qualities and more service levels to generate higher margins. So that would be distilling out of the priorities here from the Russian steel makers, our 4 priorities. And let's elaborate them in a little bit more detail. When it comes to capital efficiencies, our view is it's important to look at a couple of core elements of your capex life cycle. Certainly when it comes to vendor and tech selection, early on the process you determine the volume of a capex project. So the specification of your rolling mill refit, or the changes of your blast furnace, or the energy management at your plant, the tech selection and the vendor selection, and jointly engaging with your engineering companies in new technical solution, alternative technical solution, is important to manage your overall capex levels. But certainly along the way, other elements like a very stringent project management that looks at budgets and deadlines, and also how all the various components fit together. That's very important to manage capex along the life cycle. And our experience is, if you do it well, you can reduce the overall capex budget by 10 to 15%, but also the runtime of the equipment, the operational costs can be improved by 15% if you do this, if you invest in the right equipment with the right scope. The second element is capital efficiency. Do you need to invest at all? We see a lot of potential in better utilizing your steel plants and rolling mills, using an asset effectiveness analysis, understanding what's the utilization, what's the throughput, what's the quality that your equipment is generating. If you make that transparent, there's a lot of opportunity to debottleneck and to better use your equipment so that you can produce more volume, more output, and in that turn also maybe reducing the overall capex need. So that's something you also want to look at in great detail when it comes to cost efficiencies. An important area is certainly maintenance for us. It can have like 8 to 30% of your overall operation costs of a plant. And certainly when it comes to maintenance costs, there are always conflicting targets that we see. On one hand, certainly the spend on maintenance, but also you want to achieve certainly availability of your equipment and uptime, and also safety and quality goals with maintenance. So there's always a balance to strike in that kind of maintenance. How do companies do that? And one important approach we think to balance that conflict between maintenance cost and maintenance output in terms of quality and equipment uptime is certainly integration between production and maintenance. A better enablement of production to maintain equipment on their own, to also maintain equipment condition, but also do first level maintenance on the production side, so that you need less and less maintenance people and also have more uptime if the equipment condition is in better shape. So that kind of integration of production and maintenance, which is a delicate balance in steel and metals, is something which can help balance that conflict of costs and availability and maintenance. The overall improvement in administration, as I said, 20% can be achieved there. If you look at an example like HR, if you go towards the consolidated shared services centers, you can achieve 20% of cost improvements out of a client example here. If you have a changed service portfolio, consolidated services, more self-services, that always enables administrative functions, in this case example HR, to be more efficient, like 20% of cost improvements. How do you deal with the price volatility? Certainly iron ore has come down in prices quite a bit, helping also some of the international Western European players quite a bit. But certainly volatility will stay here, and it's part of, as you know, of the oligopolistic market structure. And the steel industry has not found really an aligned action against that. We understand this. So it requires for the individual steel makers to change their operating models and also to build in a little bit more flexibility in their supply chain when it comes to changing production programs, but also changing utilization based on the raw material availability. So more flexible production model is one way of, besides the hedging options which are emerging, to deal with that kind of raw material volatility.